So in this session, we'll be covering what are the examples of audit documentation and what are the different types of working file, and also what are the documentation of significant matters and significant professional judgments. So all these things will be covered here. So examples of audit documentation. What constitutes audit documentation? So audit documentation can contain your audit plan, it can contain your audit program, audit strategy, any analysis that you have done during the course of audit, any audit procedures that you have applied, audit evidences that is obtained, then any kind of correspondence that is obtained from the management or any kind of representations from the management. It can also contain what? It can also contain any other information that you feel it is required to be mentioned or required for the conduct during the audit, which has to be brought to the notice of the particular auditor. It might affect his conclusions, or it can contain checklist also needs to be included. So all these things will be contained in your audit documentation. So now different types of audit documentation. One, I have already said, working paper file. Now working paper file itself, there are two types. One is your permanent working paper file, and then second is your current audit file, and one is your permanent audit file. So what is current audit file and what is permanent audit file? And this question has also been asked many times. What is the difference between permanent and current audit file? So current audit file, as the name suggests, it pertains to the particular period under consideration or under audit. Say I am doing the audit of financial year 1920, then current audit file will be pertaining to that particular year. So it will be pertaining to that particular current year under consideration or under audit. A permanent audit file is a kind of a reference. It is a reference that can be repetitively used for successive audits. So n number of audits for that particular entity, it is a kind of reference I can successively or repeatedly use for successive audits. And it is a kind of a manual, or it is a kind of reference for the engagement team members. I can look upon to that. So this is not pertaining to that particular current year. It can contain information also, but it is a kind of reference. It has to be used successfully, repeatedly for all the successive audits. So this is the difference between permanent and current audit file. And examples of current audit file. Current audit file, the name itself suggests whatever you are doing for the current audit period. So whatever you are doing, audit procedures that are being applied, what procedures you are applying. Are you doing a verification? Are you doing a vouching? Are you doing a bank reconciliation? External confirmation, management representation, correspondence letters, all these things will form part of your current audit file. Whatever evidence you are obtaining, is it sufficient and appropriate? What is the risk of misstatement that is being observed? Then what, any meetings, MOMs, minutes of meetings of the particular entity that has relevance with the particular area of audit. Then what? Correspondence for the appointment to that particular entity. So if it is a reappointment, correspondence relating to acceptance of that particular reappointment. So all these things, in brief analysis of the transactions balances, whatever thing you are performing for the current year during that particular year, all these things will be included in your current audit file. Whereas your permanent audit file, what will be included in the permanent audit file? Permanent audit file will be kind of reference. It can include what is the internal control system adopted or by the accounting system adopted by the entity, the MOMs, whatever meetings that have been held, whatever decisions that has been taken in the meetings. Then what is the significant accounting policies that has been followed by the particular entity. Then what, any other legal documents, agreements, minutes of meetings, and also record of communication with the previous auditors. So any communication that has been done with the previous auditor, and also any information regarding the organizational structure or legal structure of that particular entity. All these things will come as a part of your permanent audit file. So all these things will come as a part of your permanent audit file. So permanent audit file is a kind of a reference, whereas your, for all the repetitive whatever successive audits that is being carried out, it is a kind of reference for that. Whereas your current audit file is nothing but those pertaining to the current year's audit, current period under consideration. Now this question has been asked many times, difference between current and permanent audit file. And again, so the next type of documentation is your completion memoranda. What is a completion memoranda? So in a audit working paper, in a audit file, we will be capturing all the particular details. It could be permanent, it could be current audit file. Then the assembling of the final audit file also has to be done. That we actually we covered in the previous session. So what is the significance of assembling of the final audit file? All these things are now there are two things. One is your completion memoranda. One type of documentation is completion memoranda. The other one is the audit notebook. So what is a completion memoranda? So sometimes I may not need all the information that is relating to the entity. I need not capture all the information relating to that particular entity. Sometimes I only need to view a summary. I need to view a summary. So here comes the relevance of an audit notebook. Audit notebook, it is mainly retained as a part of the audit documentation. It has a summary of the significant matters that is observed during the audit and how those things were addressed. So any significant matters that is observed during the audit, that will be covered as a part of this particular. It contains a summary of the significant matters that is observed during the audit and how these things are addressed. So that is one thing that is covered under this particular completion memoranda. So this is in a more summarized form rather than your audit file or your audit notebook, which is very elaborate, containing various items. This is kind of a summarized form. Why is this summarized form? This is used for a quick review, for effective and efficient review, for quality reviews. For all these things, it will be very useful. So mainly effective and efficient reviews, your inspection, your quality reviews, this is mainly used. And also what, as is the auditor to result on the significant matters, and also make sure that whatever the audit is being done, it is carried out as per the SA. None of the SA has not been followed. He has not missed out on any of the essays while conducting the audit, so that his overall audit objective is satisfied. So it is also another check to ensure that the audit is conducted as per the standards on auditing, and none of the audits standards on auditing compliance is being deviated. And again, it is a check on whether there is a overall completion of the objective of the audit. So all these things. One is, it is a summary. It provides a summary of significant matters that is observed during the audit and how they are being addressed. It is mainly used for three things. One is in order for effective and efficient review, and also for quality reviews and inspections. And again, it is also helping or assisting the auditor with a consideration of significant matters. And lastly, in order to check whether the audit has been conducted with respect to all the standards of auditing or the guidance. So this is about your completion memoranda. So the next type of documentation is audit notebook. What is an audit notebook? Audit notebook is comparing with the completion memoranda. It is very elaborate. It is a bound notebook. Firstly, it is a bound notebook. It contains a variety of information, a variety of matters that the particular engagement team members observed during the audit, or the auditor observes during the audit. So what are the different things that has been matters that has been come across by the particular team or by the particular auditor, that will form part of your audit notebook. So this audit notebook is also a part of your working papers. So working paper is a broad classification of the audit documentation. It could be your permanent working paper or your current working paper. Current working paper will be for the particular current audit period under consideration. Permanent audit file will be a reference. So in this working paper, there will be different types of working papers. One, it could be your completion memoranda. I mean, different types of documentation. So under that documentation, one is your completion memoranda. Now this audit notebook actually form parts of your working paper. This is again a part. Your completion memoranda is a different thing. There is a summary. This actually forms part of your working paper. So now can you tell me what kind of working paper it forms part of? It forms part of the current audit. Because every year you go for an audit, or every new audit, a fresh audit notebook has to be maintained. It is exclusively for capturing all the details on the matters that is observed during that particular audit. So what is the advantage of that particular audit notebook? Say for example, my engagement team has gone for a particular audit, and one of the areas is being audited by one of the assistants or one of the team members. Suddenly the particular team member is on leave, or she is not away from the project, or that particular project work has been stopped, and I am resuming the project work after a few months, maybe due to health issues or maybe any other issues. I am just even now now itself we can relate to that particular scenario. Okay, now during this time of pandemic, I have already started with a particular audit work in March, or maybe March mid and or March beginning, and it has reached like two weeks I have gone for audit, and then it is locked down, so I cannot go for audit now. Now I am planning to resume the work, or I resume the work by say October or November. That time I am resuming the audit, and particular person who has been handling that particular work, that particular team member is also on leave. She has not got back to work. So I should have an understanding. I should be able to correlate the work that has been done by that particular team member, or when the work has been stopped, what is the work I should continue with. So it is a kind of correlation. It helps the auditor to correlate the work when one of the assistants are leave or assistant is away, or when the particular audit work has been stopped. This is one particular issue. Next is what? Any kind of queries. It also contains, next important thing is various queries that has to be addressed. So during the audit, there will be a number of questions that has been raised by your team members. So these questions has to be answered, or proper explanation has to be given by the management or by the client. Now these queries, so this next content of this particular audit file will be whatever queries and their completion status, or their particular status of closure. That is the second one. Status of closure in the sense, if the particular query has been answered, or if the particular query has been disposed of, then what is the explanation that has been given, what are the kind of evidences that has been obtained, that has to be entered in your audit. Say if the particular query is not addressed by the management, or it is not disposed of, in such cases I have to make sure that particular whatever query that has been not been mentioned is noted, and it has to be followed up. So all these things will again form part of your audit file. Next is what? Any kind of mistakes or any kind of irregularities during the course of audit. I find some kind of an irregularity. Maybe some provisions of Companies Act are not complied, or some irregularity with respect to depreciation calculation. Correct amount of depreciation is not given, percentage is used is wrong, or maybe valuation is wrong, provision is given is wrong. Some kind of an irregularity is being observed during the audit. That also forms part of your audit notebook. Then what? Sometimes certain matters are not very evident from the financial statements, but it must be very important pertaining to the company. So certain details of the company which is significant but not obtainable from the books of accounts. Say certain agreements that has been entered into by the company, but that I'll not be able to understand by seeing this the financials. So such cases, or certain meetings that has been held by the company, but depending on those meetings or the outcome of those meetings, major decisions were taken, or major investments has been made. So such MOMs, I need those which I cannot obtain from the books of accounts. I need to keep a track. So those things will also be included in here. Sometimes proper books of accounts may not be maintained by the client. Say for example, cash book or bank book, or even a fixed asset register. Sometimes it may not be maintained by the client. So in unsatisfactory bookkeeping arrangements, that also I have noted in here. Then what? Special. Now at the time of verification, sometimes it might seem correct, right? But towards the end of the audit, certain points I need to check during the finalization stage. So those things, certain points which require consideration at the time of finalization, those things also will be entered. And again, last thing is anything of importance for future. So audit notebook is nothing. It is also a part of your working paper. This is a forms part of your current audit file. This includes various matters, all the matters that has been observed during the audit. Whatever matters that has been observed during the course of audit are being recorded. Unlike your completion memoranda, it is elaborate, not a summarized form. The main contents, main help is, it is mainly helpful for reconstructing or for correlating the work that is being carried out in the particular audit when one of the particular audit assistant is away or particular audit has been stopped for a particular time. So all these things will be taken into consideration. Next is what are the contents? It will contain your queries, those queries that has been addressed by the management. If not, what are the queries that has to be followed up? Then all the mistakes or irregularities that has been observed during audit, any kind of information of the particular company, that is vital information of the company that is not obtainable from the books of accounts, or any unsatisfactory bookkeeping arrangements, or any special points which require attention during the time of finalization, or any other important matters which require for future reference. So all these things will be covered under your audit. So now we cover examples of documentation. What is a working paper? What are the different types of audit files, current and permanent audit file? Then we covered what is a completion memoranda. Then we covered what is an audit notebook. And then we covered what is a significant matters that is related to. Now we are going to cover the significant matters, documentation of significant matters and the professional judgments. Now, what is significant matters? So why documentation of significant matters? So I am documenting the procedures, I am documenting the evidences, I am documenting the conclusions reached. Now sometimes I might come across scenarios which gives rise to significant risk. I know there is some kind of risk that is associated with this particular scenario. In such cases, I need to make sure that it is getting documented. So documentation of significant risk or matters that is giving rise to significant risk, that has to be documented. Second is what? Sometimes financial statements would be I might apply the audit procedures. Audit procedures are being applied, but the outcome or the result of the audit procedure suggests, or it gives an indication that the financial statements might be potentially or materially misstated. So in such cases, it again comes as a part of a significant matter. Or sometimes it might not be misstated, but the auditor might have already come to a particular judgment, or he would have assessed the particular risk of misstatement that would be associated with this particular financial or this particular area of audit. But later on, he has to, or he tends to revise that risk of material misstatement. He tends to revise the auditor's previous assessment of risk of material misstatement. In such cases, I need to document the same. What is the previous risk of material misstatement that has been assessed? What is the revision to that? And what is the change in the response with relation to that changed assessment of risk? So these are the two things with respect to audit procedures. One is when the financial statements are materially misstated, or when there is any change or any revision to the risk of material misstatement that is given by the auditor and the response to it. Next is what? Next is difficulty in applying audit procedure. There is significant difficulty in applying the audit procedure. So when do you think there is a significant difficulty in applying audit procedures? So significant difficulty in applying the audit procedures comes when, say for example, the management is not giving proper information to the particular auditor to go ahead with the audit. So they are refraining the auditor from contacting the third parties to obtain proper evidences relating or to make sure that he is reaching the conclusion. So no proper bank statements are given. Even the system or information system in which the particular data or records are stored, even the auditor is not given access to that. Management is not cooperating with the auditor in order in the duty of carrying out the audit. In all these cases, when he is not able to apply the audit procedures, again it is a significant risk, and that has to be documented. And finally, any change in the conclusion or any change in the audit report, any modification to the audit report, or I am including another paragraph, emphasis of matter paragraph. We will cover what emphasis of matter paragraph in the other few sessions. That is, whatever is of importance that has to be known to the public. So any kind of another information that I am providing in the audit report or any modification, that also will be constituting significant matters. So significant matters is any matter which leads to significant risk or audit procedures that might show when the result of audit procedures that is showing that the financial statements could be materially misstated, or any kind of revision in the risk of material risk or risk assessment by the auditor and his response, inability or not able to apply the audit procedures, and finally whenever there is a modification to the audit opinion. So under all these circumstances we have to document the significant matters. So these are what constitutes a documentation of significant matters. Now significant matters we documented. Now another segment is documentation of related significant professional judgment. What is a judgment? What is a kind of significant professional judgment that has been given? So what I have to document? So first thing what I will document is, what is it? So I have given some judgment. So I have given some conclusion. So what is the rationale behind the conclusion I have given? So on what basis I have given the conclusion? Is it basis of the evidence, or is it on the basis of my judgment, or is it on the basis of any other thing? So on what basis I am giving my conclusion? So rationale behind my conclusion or my second thing is what? Second thing is basis for the conclusion, or basis. Next one is reasonableness of the particular subjective judgments that is being made. So auditor is making some conclusions on what? On the reasonability of certain judgments. Reasonability of some judgments means what? When do judgments come into picture in a financial statement? Normally, certain elements in the financial statements are subjected to management judgment. For example, your provision for bad debts. So it is a something that is your given as a part of your management judgment. Provision means what? All accounting estimates. So accounting estimates means they are not correct figures. They are approximate figures which are debited or credited to a P&L, because you cannot arrive at one particular or correct value for the same. So it is only an approximation. So these kind of accounting estimates which is given by the management, or it is a matter of management judgment. The auditor has to give a conclusion on that. Say for example, during the time of conducting the audit, for example, the audit bad debt provision to bad debt that is given by the management is say 2%. And the auditor also, depending on the trend of recoverability of that particular amount from that particular debtor, comparing it with the previous years and what is the trend, the auditor also feels it is reasonable. Now then it's fine. Sometimes the auditor feels, depending on the trend of recoverability of that particular auditor, under what circumstance have they put provision as 2%, and the auditor feels now the bad debt percentage of provision should have been increased to 10%, depending on the current scenario or circumstances. In such cases, again the auditor has to document that. Why the auditor has reached a conclusion on the reasonableness of the particular judgment that is made by the management. Third one is what? Third one is, suppose the auditor is reaching a conclusion that the particular document that is provided to him for verification or doing the audit is not reliable. So under what circumstances the auditor is coming to such a conclusion that the particular document is not reliable? How it is not becoming not reliable? So all these things again, conclusion on the basis of authenticity of a particular document. So these three things will come under your professional judgment documentation. One is your rationale behind the conclusion. Second is the reasonableness of a particular subjective judgment that is made by the management. And third is with respect to conclusion based on the authenticity of a particular document. So all these things are coming as a part of your documentation for significant professional judgments. Now, I have carried out the audit. During the course of audit, I have actually documented few things. So what are the few things, for example, the application of audit procedures, what will I document? So one of the basic things what I will document is what area I am auditing, what kind of procedures that is being applied, who applies that, what extent that is being applied, date on which it is being applied, then who reviews, date on which the review is being carried out, all those things. Say for example, certain audit is being performed not in a usual way, some exceptional way of doing an audit. So now in such a cases, the auditor has to make sure if there is any deviation from the generally accepted way of doing the audit, if there is any kind of an exception that is being followed, the auditor has to document the same, why that exception has been done and what is the outcome of that he has to watch. Say for example, this particular audit procedure, application of audit procedure, it is a normal, not in the normal way, it is in an exceptional circumstances. Audit procedures are applied which is not in line with the generally accepted procedures. This is happening after I give or after the auditor gives the audit report. Before the audit report, I can document, include it as a part of my documentation. Why this particular method has been resorted to, what are the methods that has been adopted or applied. Say suppose after giving the audit report, there is some kind of a changes. So in those cases, what will I do? What the auditor does is, in those particular scenarios, what are the particular reasons for the deviation from the generally accepted procedures or general way of doing the audit, why this particular audit has been resorted to, any modifications that has happened to the auditor's conclusion, what is the reason for such modification, all these things has to be documented. So any kind of new procedures that has been attempted which is not in the normal course, it is an exceptional case. So those cases, why it is resorted to, what kind of procedures are being applied, because of the application of these procedures, what changes have come to the opinion, what changes are made in the conclusion or the report has to be. So we come to an end of this particular chapter, audit documentation. We covered here the examples of audit documentation. We covered what are the different types of work, what is a working paper, what are the different types of audit file. Then we covered what are the different types of audit documentation, that is your completion memoranda, your audit notebook. Then we covered what documentation of significant matters and significant professional judgment. So all these things we have covered here. Now we'll see what are the few questions that has been asked for your exams. One question is with respect to nature, extent and the content of your audit documentation. And the next one is important question is on what circumstances the audit documentation, any changes, what circumstances are the changes are made to the audit documentation during the final assembly process. So during the final assembly process, what are the circumstances, either for cross-referencing or collating or sorting the working papers or for documenting evidence that is directly obtained, we have 4 points. So those 4 points we have to write. Then what? Ownership of audit documentation. Who is the owner of audit documentation? This will be asked mostly based on a case study basis. Like for example, they might be asking like to provide, can the client compel the auditor to give the working papers or ask them for a Xerox copy of the working papers, or is it the property of the auditor or is the property of a client, can come in any form. Then purpose of audit documentation. What is the purpose of audit documentation? What it helps, that also comes. Next thing is, what are the different types of audit file? Permanent and current audit file, that has been tested. Then again, all the questions whatever we discussed, what is a completion memoranda? Again, difference between completion memoranda and the audit notebook. One is summarized, one covers various aspects. What are the various aspects that has been covered? Then what are the significant matters that is observed during the course of an audit? A record should be kept in the audit notebook. So what are the significant matters that has been entered into the audit notebook? That also is being covered. Then assembly of final audit file. What is the process of assembly of final audit file? Then what does SC 230 say about utility, ownership and retention of working papers? Then working papers are a record of the audit procedures performed. Discuss importance of working papers. It is a link between auditor's report and client records. Discuss again. Whether branch auditor should give a photocopy of the working paper on demand to the particular company's auditor. Now, what are audit working papers? Why should it be preserved by the auditor? Whether auditor is bound by the decision of the management to provide the working papers. Then extracts of legal documents or agreements. What constitutes a current working file or what constitutes a permanent working file? Some examples will be given and you will be asked to identify whether it is part of a current or permanent audit file. Then what? So what is the period of retention of the working papers? Again, whether it is 7 years or more or less than that, again that. So more or less almost every point, all the points we have covered with audit documentation. And SQC1, that also, what is the importance of SQC1? It requires the firms to establish policies or procedures on how they are maintaining or assembling the final audit file. So all these things has to be compiled. I mean, all these things are asked for your previous exams. So we have come to an end of this particular session. So next session we will be seeing what is audit evidence and what are the procedures of procuring audit evidence. So till then, thank you.